we're ever in a situation where we're not rolling out a certain sort of cultural circus, then we're not doing our job properly.
And good afternoon. Welcome to round 4 of Pool Play at the Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships 2018. Simon Tolwood here with Max Halden.
Hello, folks.
We've got Krank in the red playing out of Wollongong versus Credo out of Christchurch in New Zealand in the blue or green, Max?
Yeah, look, I'll go with blue, but you're right. It's a bit trouble for colourblind people. Sure.
Yeah, hell of a game to watch if you can't differentiate. But yeah, Credo will start with the disc on the brick mark after the pull went out, and immediately that throw goes up to Catherine Teo. Nicholson looking infield now. Heads up the line to Penaya, who reels it in about 5 metres from goal now. Penaya receives it back, looking for the 1-2 movement there with Grogan. Nice little pop over the top. And clean hand block there by...
Potentially not as clean as it may have looked in that first instance.
No. So you see again. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to see from this angle with the players sort of backing away from us, but the defender certainly isn't contesting it.
Yep. So we'll restart with a fresh door count. Dump to Toof. Too far for Teo, incomplete. Booth picks it up, wants to send it straight away. Looking wide, looking to Dawson. I think Teo got a handle, but Dawson recovers. Has a free shot at the end zone, but holds back. Looks for Booth, and Booth playing very short, but gets open. Has a shot at centre field. Tells the cutters where he wants to go with the throw. And a nice, easy goal there by... to Rosie Dawson.
Wow, and what an unbelievably athletic play from Dawson. I mean, I imagine we're going to be seeing that all day, Simon, that shot from Booth to Dawson. But for Dawson to keep it alive, despite an amazing effort by the defender, Teo, just really spectacular stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the cameraman getting sold out with that fake there from Booth. It's classic veteran handler move, that one. Just the old, I'm going to pretend to throw here because that's where I want you to cut, please.
Absolutely. And a shame for Credo then. I mean, nice offense moving up the field for most of that play. Really nicely used the break side all the way up, created that space with a vert stack, and then just in the end zone with a little bit of extra pressure, they couldn't make that final move.
Yep. I think some teams can get too afraid to lose ground on a dump pass, and will try and make it a bit square and hurry the throw. Whereas if they're willing just to lose 5 yards in order to gain the swing, it can be a nice, it can be a less zippy throw.
Yeah, very well put, and they certainly experienced that that particular method of turnover in this instance.
So the first blood goes to Krank, who open up with a break defensive conversion to take a 1-0 lead. Conditions have been great so far. No wind to speak of. There is a slight right to left breeze, but nothing to really affect throwers at playing in this tournament. Panaya there, he'll have a lot of the disc in his hands today. Joe Panaya likes to sit back and control the offense. Siahane Royal, but pick called, and
very disciplined, this Credo team. The stack is a textbook look. They're giving themselves plenty of space on either side of that stack to play with. So
it's up just off camera, but it is played in very close with a lot of room out the back towards the end zone. Like to play through the middle here. Grogan getting it back to Jar. Great work right there from Siahane Royal. Come from about 30 metres away to get that one. Nice swing pass out to Grogan. Krank content just to let them have unders and just preventing the deep shots. Just forcing him to throw a lot of passes, and there we go. The pressure gets enough for him, and Jar fumbles that one. Gives him a chance at another one. Alex Pentini ran back to James Ferguson, who puts it over the top, looking for Alex Ha, but over the top of everyone and out the back of the end zone.
It's tough. This field has been causing problems for a few handlers when they're making those split-second decisions. The depth of the field that exists beyond the back of the end zone. We've seen a few people shooting those passes back. The wind is a bit of a factor, as you say. It's going somewhat right to left, but still you'd expect more of the throwers would be finding that space in the field.
Yeah. Like typically around an oval ground, the fence could be a bit of a visual cue for how back of the end zone, but the fence is at least probably about 20-25 metres from the back of the end zone.
Exactly. Well, Credo get another chance here.
To start with, it is 64 from goal. Immediately goes to the swing pass to Panaya. Looks like Credo just looking to work short players, trying to get players in power position. And here we go. Panaya reels that one in, and Nicholson finds himself wide open under. Back to Panaya. Grogan really attacking the break side with these throws to give them space for those big unders. Hold away. Nice break to Siahane Royal, but put just behind her, and the pass is incomplete.
And Krank again, just picking the disc up and playing as quickly as possible. They really want to push the pace of this game.
Bengson to Pentini Vran. Wants that break side, but no one's moving for him, so he just goes short to Ferguson. All the action happening well ahead of the disc. Not much happening under. Fletcher back in board. So a pick called on the play there. Not as much structure to Krank's cutting as compared to Credo. They just sort of content to do whatever they see fit at the time. Alex Ha.
Very true, but their retention of possession is impressive.
Ferguson holds on to a long time and just goes through a short push pass to Bengson. To Fletcher. Great bid there by Grogan. Fletcher right on the sideline there with his pivot foot on the paint, but goes short into Ferguson, and that's 2 to Krank.
Yeah, and you can't give Ferguson that kind of space, even in the smallest of areas on that sideline. Once he gets into that power position, able to use his body to seal out his defender, and pretty straightforward goal, really, in the end.
Yeah, you can see just that little shimmy movement, enough. It was aggressive marking there by the Credo defender, just daring him to go upfield, but just a little shoulder fake from Ferguson to say, I'm not going to send you back on your on your heels, and
yeah, the bet didn't pay off, unfortunately. But it's interesting to see this Credo team. I mean, their play through midfield, excellent. Really nice. That use of the break space, both by the cutters and the throwers. Everyone's clearly on the same page there. Just when that break space starts to evaporate around the end zone, it's being a lot more difficult for them to get a clean pass off.
Yep. And so, Krank coming in, rated very highly. They took the second bid out of New South Wales. Only going down in the final of the New South Wales State Championships to the Hills.
Yeah, they have an impressive history, I suppose, and the depth of the roster, I think, really speaks to that. Lots of players who you'd recognise from Australian representative teams, but even their younger players, you know, a lot of them are under 24s or under 24 hopefuls, and just been playing together for a really long time.
Yep.
You add in, you know, the experience of someone like a Jonathan Warren White, who's playing with them, even though his home base is in Adelaide, and becomes quite a formidable squad.
Yep. And we saw leadership from Tim Booth and Mark Fulford, just to. There's very little those two haven't seen on the field before, so they're able to talk to their team through just about anything. So, pull drifts out of bounds, so Credo will get to start with the disc. 44 metres from goal, centre of the field with Lachlan Wise. Unusual to see him playing for a New Zealand team, but his professional career has seen him based in New Zealand for a few months, so makes sense that he plays with the locals. So Krank coming out with a zone. Judging by the count, it will probably transition to a match soon, and there we go. Wise spots the gap, puts it up, looking for Sarah Hannis all on her own. Took a bit too long to think about it. Penty ran, picks it up, moves it straight away, and that's going to be characteristic of Krank. They're not going to mess around too much on on offense once they get the turn. Warren White there, about 35 from goal. Just goes short to Bell. Bell for this one just to look straight back to the middle. Warren White swings it across, but
just pushes it a little bit too far there, doesn't he?
Yeah, puts a little bit too much spice on it, but good discipline from their younger players. So as soon as they catch it near the sideline, their first look is back towards the middle of the field. Wise with another big shot for Boyd in. He catches it right on the goal line. Heaps of options happening around her. Goes in short to McAfee, who finds Tom Fraser.
Yeah, nice little jump in there. I mean, the chase down the field was a little bit ambitious. You see it fairly often in Ultimate in general, especially in Mixed Ultimate, about 5 players crowding one offensive player with the disc. Yep. But the thrower had the composure to retain the disc, find a nice pass, and it results in their first score of the game.
Yeah. And it was a tight bid there. McAfee just got his hands on it just as the Krank defender was flying across there. We just saw it in the replay. But then he had the composure to know that because someone was bidding from that side, someone must be open on the near side, and was just able to spot Fraser up for the goal.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see now Credo get their first opportunity to come down in defence. We'll see what they bring.
It's interesting to see what impact Lachlan Wise has had on their play style. I noticed that the second he got the disc, whoever was at the back of the stack would immediately cut towards the end zone. So it's he's got a reputation as a bit of a pie thrower at times, but
absolutely.
But he's not afraid to throw to anyone who he thinks has got some form of advantage. He won't sort of size up a receiver and think, want them or not. He'll see someone deep, he'll put it.
And both of those deep shots in that point, really, really excellent.
Yeah. Great pull, hanging for a long time. That's going to be Falls to start the offense, and it's Credo now coming down with the zone. Oh, sorry, Cording. There in the pink hat. McCabe. Wants to get off that sideline. Finds Fulford. Fulford with give goes and looks straight to the middle to Bell. They've broken through, but they hold up, take their time. Cording to Bengtson. McCabe, Fulford. He's using the full width of the field here, Krank, and McKay puts it high, looking for Bengtson, but holds her ground.
Really nice
Goes
grab
straight
there.
up for it, and had Wise bearing down on her, but running with his looking overhead, which can be a tricky business, but no, excellent by Bengtson there, just to find her spot, hold it, and just go straight up for the disc.
Yeah, she's a top-class receiver and just uses her body really well to seal out the position that she needs.
Yep.
Wise, very wisely avoids contact.
Yep.
And it's a nice grab from Bengtson in the end. Krank did not look troubled at all during that point.
No.
Interesting choice by Credo to play those kind of zone, a very traditional zone, you'd say, like sort of pommy sort of look.
Yep.
Especially Krank loves those kind of things, and in conditions such as these ones, which aren't really very challenging, those open over the tops are really going to be damaging.
Yeah, there is, even though the breeze, it is picking up a bit from right to left. It's picked up since this morning, but yeah, not enough to really make any kind of significant difference to anyone's throws.
And we've seen already some really athletic bids from some of the Credo players. It's a shame to sort of lock a few of those players up in zone type positions when you think they could potentially have a little bit more of an impact playing one-on-one defense. So
Yep.
we'll see if they play that again, if they get another chance.
Yeah. So Booth waiting just that extra second for Credo to get their hand up and foot on the line. Sends it up, keeps it low and flat. Lowers the risk of flying out of bounds, but Grogan will get it and it's passed up instantly, and Credo's offense is off. They're playing through the centre of the field, and I think Holdaway just overcommitted on that pivot, threw it off balance, and Ferguson to Dawson. Dawson about 2 minutes in the end zone, but we're on the sideline. Got a few dump options. Ferguson comes in. They're still on the sideline. Ferguson looking just to this near side of the field, not even looking at the end zone, but finds Healy. Healy puts it out looking for the wide handle there, but too far. Grogan to start, unmarked at the moment. Runs a 1-2 movement to gain a few yards. Looks back inboard. Both teams doing that very well. Just really want to attack through the middle of the field. As soon as they get on the sideline, they look to get it away to open up the angles of attack.
Infinitesimal travel there that brings the disc back.
Teo sends the big shot up to the advantage of her two receivers, but Dawson far too quick. That closing speed she's got.
Yeah, it is phenomenal to see, and we saw it most recently in the AUL, and now we're seeing it again today. It's just makes it very, very tough to put it up to a matchup to her.
Yeah, when the throw got sent up, the receivers definitely had the advantage when the throw was taken, but yeah, Dawson just put the afterburners on and comfortably took care of that. So Ferguson to restart with a 64 from goal. Booth really plays in close on that dump position, but fleet-footed enough to get open in that kind of space.
And the awareness from his other handlers definitely makes it actually quite a powerful position for him to be in.
Yep.
Whereas a less experienced handler or on a different team, it might not work. It in the Krank system, it's very effective.
Yep. Travel called on that throw, so Grogan arguing that Booth didn't slow down as he released that disc, so the disc will come back to him.
Bit of a tit for tat there potentially. Hopefully that clears up a little bit. Both players seem reasonably comfortable with it.
Yeah. Maguire. Back to Ferguson. Into Healy, I think that is, yeah.
Yes, and just doesn't see the defender from Credo there.
Yeah. And quick movement here from Credo just to come all the way to this side of the field, and then nice floaty throw goes out from Grogan. And Credo strike back, so it looks like they're going to start to do the old, let's get it moving after a turn quickly.
Yep, taking a page out of Krank's book. It's been working for them, so they say, well, why not us as well?
Yeah, defence has never had a chance to set there, so there was plenty of movement, but they're also committed just to marking their own play rather than covering the downfield options early. But it's 3-2 in Krank's favour now. It seems like feels like Krank's had a lot of the play for the first 17 minutes or so of this game, but haven't capitalised on many goals yet, and all it's taken is just Credo to sneak in those 2 chances, and it's only a 1-point game.
Still very even, yeah. And I mean, just a few execution errors. I mean, when you play that sort of handler-dominated style, and you've got lots of players moving through that space, it can be a difficult thing, and you force a lot of passes, and sometimes those execution errors that can really damage you in these kind of handler-generated spaces and styles. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, they've looked like they much preferred that Booth to Dawson deep field connection. Be interesting to see whether they start pulling out some of those deeper looks again.
Yep.
When they get the disc.
Yeah, it'll be very much a plan B for them. I don't think they sort of wanted to use it as plan A, but if it gets tight, you'll definitely see that happen a lot more. So, great lofty pull by Wise, Fulford. Credo again with that zone. They can tempt us to take the open passes here, but sooner or later they're going to have to work it off that sideline, whether they go over the top or in back Fulford. Not much happening for him. Cording comes up through to keep the disc alive. And pressure's on. Sends a hammer up looking for Rory Burt, but Jack Tranter coming in with a huge knockdown. Wise with the throw out to Tranter, but Tranter just gets the hand to it. And
Tranter giveth and Tranter taketh away, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think he changed the angle of his cut there at the last second, which meant that the pass wasn't complete. Warren White towing the line, keeping him boards, and looks big crossfield throw. Looking for Rory Burt. This time Burt comes down with it. Krank right on the doorstep now. Back to Fulford, and they're going to maybe move the disc around just short, just while their end zone stack gets set up. Warren White is that, found space at the end there and reins it in. Very, very patient there from Warren White. Just sort of stood at the front of the stack, just waited. Saw the space open up. So you see, I think it was McCabe there that had the disc. Then, yeah, as that other cutter was clearing out, Warren White's just made eye contact, gave him the nod.
Yes, and it sometimes takes a brave thrower to throw a cross-field open pass to Lachlan Wise, knowing that he can probably fly at any minute. But McCabe has the composure and the throw to complete it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought Wise may have put enough pressure on that cross-field pass from Warren White to generate a block. Again, Tranter was hovering in that space, threatening for another block, but in the end he managed to secure it, and it's quite a nice goal in the end from Krank. So this Credo team, I mean, it's great to see more teams coming across from New Zealand and injecting something a little bit different into, especially into the mixed scene, but either of our major or any of our major national tournaments. Not a lot of players actually from Christchurch, even though they would call that their hometown.
Yeah.
Coming from all over New Zealand, but still exciting to see a range of different styles coming to bear in this game.
And New Zealand, they tend to perform quite well at the World Club Championship level in the mixed division. So very strong scene there. New Zealand punch above their weight in terms of per capita in quite a number of sports, with Ultimate being one of them. I think they sort of hovered just outside the top 10 in world rankings.
Yes, which is very impressive for a small country.
So they've isolated one of their cutters here to open up the play. The big shot goes up looking for Nicholson, and Booth comes in, flying over the top.
Yeah, you wonder if that was exactly the shape he'd imagined out of the hand.
Yeah. It's thrown to a 2-on-2 contest, which is interesting. It's like, so they want it, but Dawson and Booth working back together. At some point, I reckon Dawson's going to take off from the handle position here at some point. Falls. There she goes, she's off now. Booth's lining it up, but there's a pick call.
Unfortunate pick call, really, for Dawson. You'd think
yeah, she was
off to the races, and potentially may still come. We'll see.
Yeah. But no, it takes the under. option. In short to Booth. Booth's got a deep cutter on, and that's James Maguire. Grogan cutting down, bids for it, but great bid by Maguire there. Having to go because Grogan was going at the same time, but I think comes out of his hand as he hit the deck there. So we see that shot again, and Grogan did a great job to make up the ground. And
yeah, it looks like he has it in hand, but just as he hits the ground, it just slips out, unfortunately.
And he's Grogan's actually called an injury after that play, and actually having to come off. He's holding his wrist, so it might have been just a bit of an awkward landing. Maybe putting a bit more weight than he wanted to on that wrist as he fell.
Yeah, it looks like the wrist might have ended up under the body of the bidding Krank player.
So Credo disc now, about 2 metres into their own end zone. We've got a bit of a Maguire's playing a bit of a straight up force on Wise, which is smart. Nicholson now. To Wise, still within their own end zone. Puts the big backhand out. And great grab there. That was about 65 metre clean throw. Credo right on the doorstep now. And a nice simple backhand. And Credo bring it back to 4-all.
Yeah. Impressive stuff there from Credo, and once again we see that desire to keep the disc moving, go real quick after getting a block. Definitely taking a page out of Krank's book early in the game.
Yeah, Fletcher just caught unawares there. It's very difficult to sort of win a one-on-one in the end zone when you're in the very centre and they've got either side to shoot at. You just have to commit to one and hope that they throw to the side you've committed to.
Yeah, exactly. You're very much on stage. All the lights are on you, and yeah, unfortunately, sometimes your bets don't pay off. All right. Well, it looked like Krank had the early advantage, as you say here, but when you look at the scoreboard, it's a tight affair.
Yeah.
And Credo certainly have held their nerve against a very experienced Krank team, and sort of feel poised like they may be able to start taking the momentum here if they can get a block.
It's a lower scoring game than we've seen in other games so far this morning. Only 7 goals have been played in just under 25 minutes. I dare say we'll probably hit the 80-minute time cap before either team hits the 15-goal target. Going for a close one. Courting. Courting, Hara and Fulford playing well together against his own handling, and Warren White comes back to help for a second. Just to pop it over the top to Fulford, get him out of that trouble. Fulford over the top to Hara. Plenty of time to wait underneath it. Milks for a couple of yards, but great anticipation by Fraser there.
Yeah.
Thought this pass is going to come in short to McCabe. And Wise shoots over the top looking for Fraser. Fraser and Fulford underneath it. And Fulford went early, but smart by Fulford there because he knew the line was coming up, and by going up early, he basically took away the option for Fraser to toe the line or bring it early. So
yeah, Fraser probably wishing he had another extra couple of inches to get down and toe that line, but not to be.
Fulford with a big hammer looking for Bengtson, but Wise is underneath it. At that time, taps it down to himself, does his own roving, runs a give-go with Fraser. Fraser trying to milk an extra yard, not quite on the line. We're on the doorstep now. And Warren White caught out of position. He did what Sam McWillow with the goal there, but Warren White, he saw Wise dancing about on the line, thinking, if I can take away this up the line option. So that was Fulford there.
Fulford, yeah.
But yeah, had his back to the cutter.
Yes.
Wheeler took advantage and said, well, if you're not going to look where I'm going, I'm going to sneak out here. And
a cunning distraction from Wise in the end, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, easy as you like. We're even again at 4-all.
Warren White did a great job of covering Wise then, taking away both options.
Yeah, very impressive. He's really uses his body well in those situations. You know, he's got a very long wingspan. Does a good job of dissuading throwers just by throwing sort of his lengthy limbs all over the place, changing up the vision, changing the angles, readjusting his positioning, all of that stuff. Really great dump defense.
And for a moment when we thought that Krank might get away to the commanding lead, it is back to 4-all.
Yeah, and the energy in this game is actually on the field still pretty relaxed. We're not seeing some of the celebrations we've seen in previous games. No. A lot of energy. Both these teams feel like they're in here for the grind. They're okay with a long and slow and relaxed almost, but maybe focused journey ahead.
Yep. Deep pull there from Credo to run the zone again, but Krank able to move it out before they get there. Great shot across the field by Ha, but
seemingly a miscommunication between the two deep receivers.
About who had that.
Yeah.
Fraser finally takes the open option. We brought in. Fraser winds up, sends the backhand looking for Fernando. And Fernando at the very back of the end zone.
Beautiful grab there.
Out of reach of Rory Burt.
Fernando, a really impressive athlete from New Zealand. He's played in Australia quite a few times, either with Wildcats or other mixed teams. And I think from my personal perspective, he was a bit unlucky to not get drafted in the most recent AUL. He's got really amazing athleticism and has that sort of X factor as a player, and you certainly saw it there in his ability to get open. I really enjoy watching him, and I think he brings that sort of that sizzle to a game.
Yeah, didn't know he nominated for that draft.
Left on the cutting room floor, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Simon.
Were you coach of the Perth Power at the point when they were in the draft?
No, unfortunately, I was drafted in at a later stage.
Yeah, so post draft.
Yeah, so didn't get to pick the team, but got to play with the pieces as they were set. Of course, the as part of the IOU, the Inside Out Ultimate Undraft, I got the complete list to do our own sort of fun drafting fantasy draft, and Fernando was definitely one of the quicker picks on from us. So
yeah. So Fulford fields the pull straight into Cording. Cording's been terrific so far. Just been that rock, that anchor handler, just providing easy resets and short movement, which is what you need against the zone. Yeah, if you're going to have people who are going to take the risks, you need someone just to be able to take the options. That was a great throw through the middle by Bell, finding McCabe, and all of a sudden Krank on the doorstep. Warren White to Fulford. Credo sticking with the zone. Again, Cording just controlling the tempo. Bell back to Ferguson. And Cording will go across field here, yep. Good shot, gets it back. Taking the time, playing in very close quarters they are, but just...
Wow, waving it in front of his offense players.
Saying who wants it, but no one moved, and eventually the pressure gets too much and there's an incomplete pass, but Weiss throws it straight into traffic, but terrific grab there by Christensen. And great poach D there by Stephanie Bankson. Banks has been one of Krank's better players so far.
Yeah, completely agree. She's been dominating both on offense and defense.
According to Warren White. Warren White's got a cutter there, McCabe. And there he is, finds him just short in. Try to stem the flow a bit. That's after a 3-goal run there from Credo.
Yeah, certainly. And Krank just got a little jammed up in that first corner. And watch that goal again. It's a nice little move from Jonathan Warren White to sort of bait Lockie Wise, make sure that he stays with it, and as Lockie Wise looks away, the pass goes into the end zone.
Yep.
But yeah, they got a bit jammed up there, Krank, on the previous possession, because their flow off the start was so impressive. And as you say, they covered about 50 meters, probably in 7 passes, but no one held the disc for more than about half a second.
Yep.
And that's definitely the style that Krank wants to be playing.
Yeah, it was. I think Natalie Bell did that big crossfield pass and just really opened it up. She saw, with no hesitation either, just saw a gap through the cup and thought, if I don't put it now.
Yes, but it's those big dynamic passes when they're when Krank is in control of them, rather than having to do them at a late stall count. That's the ones that they want, and it's the ones that really crack it open and make Krank look very comfortable.
So 5-all. Booth to pull, just keeps it low and flat, just sends it straight down the guts. Doesn't sort of risk giving up the brick by putting too much hang time on it. They're just running with the match defense now. They've got a straight up force just to stop that big throw. But Fraser here, he has half a look, sends it up, and plenty of numbers underneath. But Rosie Dawson, look at that closing speed. Yep.
It is so impressive.
Oh, unbelievable! It's
yeah, 3 Credo players all ahead of her when that disc went up, and she's in front of all of them by the time the disc gets touched.
Yep. Yeah, no one else had a chance at that.
No, and the positioning was so good.
Yep.
Yep.
I guess it's having someone like Dawson patrolling that sort of back half of the field when you're running a straight force is so valuable, because everyone else can play very aggressively underneath their cutter, so between their player and the disc, knowing that you've got someone like that out the back who can help out on those deep shots. Here's Dawson now getting it on the high side. Second bid there by Balls, and through comes Booth, but I think Fraser got his hand on that first. Gets it up and moving straight away at Panaya. A nice backhand shot. Dawson, can she get there? But no.
Great grab there. And again, it takes a lot of a steely nerve to try and throw it past Dawson, but the pass is inch perfect to score that one.
Yanni Nicholson getting that at full stretch.
Yeah, so nice. Got nice separation, and the pass, the angle on it is perfect. The
Pinpoint.
weight.
Couldn't be better.
So nice.
Yeah. Nicholson there, under pressure, you could see in her body language going, oh no, here she comes. But
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, held her nerve, the whole team. Really, really good.
Dawson just seems to find another gear as soon as the disc goes up. She's there running, trailing, but then the disc goes out and you see the immediate acceleration as soon as the disc leaves the thrower's hand, whether she's on offense or defense.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and it's that ability to, I guess, be idling and active in spaces where you don't necessarily expect to have a defender, and then to turn that acceleration on to get the block. It's just a really potent combo.
It's one of the most disheartening things to watch as a thrower, is you sort of see, oh yeah, they're pretty open, and as soon as the disc goes out of your hand, that defender just puts their skates on, and you're like, oh no.
Well, yeah, it's Credo's been playing this zone to more effect than I thought it would have, but it'll be interesting to see what comes down now. It is that zone again.
Yeah. Fulford taking a lot of control of this one. Wants to play more aggressive, getting it through, but Poppers aren't sort of offering much while the disc is close to the sideline. They're just sort of waiting for the handlers to move it away first before they provide that continuation option. Fulford over the top to McCabe. Here we go, through to Banks and McCabe. 1-2. Someone's got to get in between them, but they've gained about 25 metres off those passes. Putting some aggressive fakes there, but the zone's just not biting. McCabe eventually works it through. Recording. Fulford. Fulford, his patience is wearing thin. Something's going to come over the top shortly, I reckon. He's got Rory Burt drifting around the end zone, and Bankson working to keep Wise busy at the back there. Wise content just to sort of let it happen. Holding, again, just providing that anchor roll for Fulford, letting him do the attacking, and she's just there to give the reset. So he's just positioning himself well, cutting aggressively through the cup. And there you go. She finds space just that front corner.
Yeah, and the fakes are really nice from Fulford. I mean, he almost decapitated his own players in the cup a few times, but they do create a lot of space for him to throw into. And in that case, the cup finally bites out of frustration and having so many times got these little passes through the middle, and that creates that beautiful window for them to score in.
Yep, and it was that last fake there that just meant that cup come across. You'll see it here. You'll just see them all shift. So Fulford to get this one back. You'll fake it backhand. You'll see the cup all shift towards the camera. And it just meant that, yep, there we go. It just meant that that space was open up for that straight pass to Cording, just in that front corner.
Big, nice open window. And yeah, I mean, it really speaks to the importance of faking in a zone. You know, there's not many opportunities when you play offense that almost the entire field is looking at the person with the disc. And so the power of those fakes to get you open and to generate movement is just so important.
Yeah. And the best fakes are some throws that you sometimes throw. There's no sense in faking just for the sake of faking. You've got to do it towards a throw that might actually happen.
And the beauty of Fulford's fakes then is he has such a great range and variety of throws that he could pretty much throw it out in any particular permutation, so you don't really know which ones are going to be the fakes and which are the reals.
You could fake a foot pass and you might even bite on it.
Exactly. Wow, so 6-all. We're getting quite close to half now.
No timeouts called yet, which is interesting. Both teams have 3 to use for the game in an 80-minute game. We're nearly halfway to the time cap. Credo with a vertical stack, working through the middle. Fraser wants that backhand. Sorry, Panaya loves that backhand huck. Excellent fake there by Holdaway.
Yeah, speak of the devil.
Yeah. T.O. Cuts are dried up. Everyone's just pointing at Panaya saying, just give it to him. But incomplete. Going up the line to try and win that power position. Booth picks up straight away. Wants it in the centre field. Decides to hit Falls instead. Falls puts it up and over. Fletcher's underneath it.
Oof.
Had beautiful attack on that. Ferguson wants the break throw. He's got one or two deep options here, but not fully committing. Dawson there to Healy. Healy, big bladey shot over the top, but in comes Nicholson.
Yeah, tough. Unfortunately, what Nicholson maybe lacks in Rosie Dawson's amazing speed, she certainly makes up for in height. So pass really probably needed to be in front, but Dawson in a small amount of space made it very, very difficult there, and it's a nice block.
I think that's twice Nicholson's been able to outdo Dawson in the contest. Do we have a contender?
Well, yeah, I'll be very excited to see the rest of that matchup.
Yeah. Most of Dawson's blocks have come off poaching, so peeling off her marker. But in actual one-on-one battles, just there for a moment, we had a look at Nicholson, was completely all on her own, but here she comes under now, completely unmarked. There's plenty of time with the disc. Rennick wants the break side, but Teo U-turns and heads up the line instead, goes short. They're right on the doorstep now. Half a pace in the end zone, big shot goes over the top. Look, the idea was there.
Yeah.
All the Credo attackers were on the near side of the field, but
you could see as soon as it came out of the hand, the speed on the pass was just going to make it impossible for any any offensive player to get under it, unfortunately.
Yeah, Nicholson had a run at it, but I don't think it was to anyone in particular. I think he just sort of thought, well, all my teammates are over there, so I'm just going to send it out and go fetch. But Booth, he's looking at, had a look at the deep option there from Fletcher with a smile on his face, but thought, no, maybe not yet. And Healy and Dawson. Dawson's off, here we go. Runs that down easily. It's 4-on-3 though, so Dawson will hold it up. No, she doesn't. Goes inside.
Yeah, it's a great leading pass there.
That was a very smart cut from her teammate there, just to, as you see, that all the Credo players committed beyond the disc, heading straight to the end zone, thinking we've just got to defend that territory. And meanwhile, Eunice Ong just goes, all right, well, if you're going to head deep, I'm going to head short.
And there is that Booth to Dawson connection to kick it off. as we said, not the first time we've seen it, and it won't be the last time today.
Yep. So 7-6 to Krank.
Still surprised maybe to not see a timeout be thrown here. I would have thought maybe Wollongong definitely huge fans of the timeout, although I would say if you see a block here, there's a very high chance, especially with Tim Booth with the disc, that they will call one. Tim Booth loves to call midpoint timeouts, set up. I have opinions about these things, but...
so do I, and I think they're the same.
Yeah, we'll save it for if it happens.
This is a fairly crucial point for Krank, because if they can get the block and conversion here, they'll send them into half with a 2-goal lead, and then they'll start the second half receiving the pull. So potential to skip out to a 3-goal lead, and by that stage it'll probably be around less than half an hour to play. So
yeah, and that will be the biggest lead we've seen in the game if they can skip out to 3. That Krank did have the run of it at the start, but it didn't reflect on the scoreboard, and since then it's been very, very tight. Game advisors signalling it's time to get on with it, and Krank obliges.
Deep pull there, fielded by Wise, straight to Panaya. Smash defense, they've isolated Teo in the middle of the field. Oh, that's just a simple side stack, but Teo finds space underneath. And rushes the throw, but yeah, uncontested foul. I think it was just smacked out of her hand as she went for the old dad backhand. The wide pivot.
Yeah, Ferguson with a lot of extra length, but...
yeah, this time goes the forehand, looks for Wise, and so you immediately see about 3 Credo attackers head straight to the end zone as soon as Wise gets it. Here we go again. Yep, off they go. But Wise heads wide this time, and he wants to give go, gets it up the line, and here we go. This shot's on now. No, Wise playing unusually conservative. I think just because teams are expecting him. He finds Jar in the middle, gets it back.
Wise and Booth now matching up. Barramundi's teammates in 2016.
Yep, and head to state teammates in 2015. This time, Jar puts... Wise just want to be playing more aggressively, but Jar put the dump back, and Booth just sends out the wide backhand looking for Petroni Van.
Wow. No timeout required in that situation. That's a very familiar combination, not only on Krank, but also on the other Wollongong teams in the men's division.
Yeah. And that was, unmarked. He had the whole end zone to shoot at, and he's just thrown it out to advantage. Lands straight in his lap, 2-footer goal. So that's the conversion we talked about, Max. That's the important one. Krank skip out to take half with a 2-goal lead, and they'll start the second half receiving the disc on offense. So Simon Talbot here and Max Holden. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with the second half in a few minutes.
we're ever in a situation where we're not rolling out a certain sort of cultural circus, then we're not doing our job properly.
Half starting. Krank on offense on the second half. Warren White back to full foot. They've Credo just coming out with a match defense. Let's see if this can get results. McCabe. A lot of deep shots happening. Deep cuts happening. McCabe sends it up. Looking for Warren White, but that's just well out of bounds. And Richard Fernando makes sure of it.
Yeah, McCabe dropped the head. As soon as that one came out of the hand, he knew that that was not going to stay in bounds.
Yep. That still counts a block for Fernando.
Look, I'm not sure about that. I'm still impressed by his skills, but it might not show up on the stat sheet.
I think the fact that he's caught it, I reckon, should count.
Worth something.
Yeah. Fraser. I haven't seen a lot of Fraser in this game so far. She's been playing good defense, but hasn't Same up to the disc. Oh no, Wise. Shot to, there we go, Fernando. Fernando sends the big backhand up, looking for McAfee, but is that McCabe or...
I believe McCabe there with the touch.
McCabe or Fulford, both good team D there, we'll call that. We'll credit McCabe. Fulford's had enough attention so far. But he'll restart with the disc on offense. Immediately looks in board, looking for Alex Haar. Nice little lazy around backhand, just to get off the line. And incomplete pass looking for Natalie Bell, who was under a fair bit of pressure there on that undercut. She had no chance to let up or change direction. And Credo with a shot about 20 metres out of the end zone. Wise. A lot of pointing. Puts the hammer up to the cross side. Into the hands. Oh, not quite. Pulling, but Boydin.
Yeah.
Sorry, my French is terrible, Max. I don't know how yours is.
No, also bad.
Boydin.
So tough on those hammers. Just the having to get your hand to the underside of the disc to be able to catch it means that you don't have much room for error, unfortunately.
It looked like it was coming in hot, but just curved out and flattened out at the last second, which is why I think Boydin went a bit early. But hard to do in real time. But Fulford will start with the disc right in the back corner, 64 from goal. He wants to dump it. A lot happening around the disc, so McCabe gets 10 metres inside their own end zone. Fulford has a free shot, but Wise sitting out the back, he's taken away that option from Krank. Bell this time gets it clean. Right on the sideline though, foot's right on the paint, looking downfield.
Oh, and some excellent switches from the Credo defense to get a block there.
Yeah, McAfee running through and getting his hands on that one. I think just Bell had the blinkers on then and saw what looked to be like a free cutter there, but just outside of field of vision was Andy McAfee there. Fernando to Fraser. Fraser looks to continue to this near side, but that's taken away. Wise comes in and under, sends the backhand up looking for Fraser. That's coming short. McCabe, Warren White comes in from behind. That died in the air, that disc.
Yeah,
that looked like it was going to fly over the top of everyone, but Fraser come in early, but put Warren White in the box seat just to...
Yeah, well read by Warren Wright. Fraser did a good job of getting to the right space, but there's just no way you're going to get past Warren Wright in that situation.
Yeah, and McCabe just ran 10 metres past the disc by that point, but yeah, the next pass covered, don't worry about that. Fulford with a big bloody backhand to McCabe. Crossfield poach on the O. Fulford really getting his skates on at this point. It's a deep shot, but not much is happening, and pick has been called. It happened just on the near side here as I think McCabe and Warren White cross-cutting paths there, and just then Andy McAfee had to pull up. Restart for safety's sake. But Fulford's looking at two deep options here, but Bell's going to come under. And again, Bell this time looks to the middle briefly. Banks and back to McCabe. McCabe for Fulford, and Fulford this time at the end of it.
Yeah, nice combination there. And that was that three-point gap that now Krank, not without a little bit of difficulty, but they've opened it up.
Yep.
And it's so difficult to guard this Krank team when you've got that combination of the ability to push through the handler space into those deep areas. You know, you saw McCabe wanting to make that cut, slowed down a little bit by a pick through Warren White, but Fulford moves straight out of that handler space dynamically, and McCabe is looking. It's a very nice combination.
It's very much the trend in Ultimate these days is that you don't stick to a position. If it like yes, you may play a lot of your time as a handler, but if you head deep, and if all of a sudden a cutter finds themselves behind the disc, they just know, all right, well, I can just plug in this gap for now. I'm not going to panic. I've watched them enough. I'll do what they do. And yeah, because we saw the VLS game this morning, we saw Rob de Hollander catch 2 goals before he'd even thrown one, which was baffling, really. Yeah. Like, what's he doing at that end?
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, it's those really elite players. It's that versatility to do both that really makes them dangerous. And you see it with someone like Rosie Dawson as well, equally comfortable behind the disc as well as in front of it. Yeah.
That's 9-6 to Krank now, biggest lead of the game so far, with just under 25 minutes to play till time cap. Booth being very conservative with the pulls. He just lands them in bounds, not necessarily looking for hang time or put it to a side of the field. Just enables the zone to get down there. Lock on before Credo has a chance to adjust their offense. Big swing pass looking for Teo. Teo, nice grab. Takes her time, looks in the middle to Holdaway. Penaya, a couple little give-go movements, finds some extra yards, but everyone's behind him now. So forced to look backwards now to Holdaway. Holdaway looks to swing, but that was well taken away by Unisung. Nicholson hits the blade over the top, looking for Penaya. Goes for the big grab, but
bit too much juice.
Anthony Van and Booth looking for Dawson, but Booth and Dawson both hanging around where the disc is. Anthony Van finds Aaron Healy. Healy right on the far sideline. Shot Anthony Van looks wide to Ferguson. To Ung. Ung's got Healy streaking deep, but can't get the safe throw off. So looks inboard to Dawson. Dawson centre field. Big looping backhand. Healy on her own now. Easy goal. Lands right in her lap.
Yeah, just a beautiful pass from there to hit that middle space to put Dawson in the position to hit that around that backhand.
The work rate by Healy on that point was the territory she covered that point, just playing as that deep roll. She didn't come under this much, but still would have the discipline to come back to the stack before retrying a deep cut. Didn't just hang back there. We saw about 3 repeat efforts from her at that point, which means 3 or 4 30-metre sprints in and back. So she deserved that goal in the end, and it obviously just wore her defender out to the point where you just couldn't follow her anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really, really good space.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great combination there, really textbook stuff. And yeah, the isolation in the deep space has been very impressive from Krank this whole game.
Yeah. And good vision by everyone on the team has just got their first look immediately is to the middle of the field. A lot of people will sort of look down the line to see if there's a continuation. Even if they don't stay with that look, it's just their first glance to go, oh, can I keep this? The first glance from all Krank players is to look to the middle of the field. And where typically either one of their handlers or their undercutters are there waiting to give them an option.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that makes Krank so difficult. And as someone who's played against them many times before, their fundamentals are so good that they just stay in a game no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, you could never, ever write them off.
No, never, ever.
Come up with a cup now. A lot of Credo players working around the disc. No one sort of sitting deep. Everyone's under, so it's meant that the Krank zone can close right in, play very short. Fraser right on this near sideline now. Wants to move it out of there, looking inboard. Sends back to Penaya, over to Teo. No one there to continue for Teo. The nuts. Fraser looks inboard to Shiahane Royal. And they settle it down again after they get back through. Another second breakthrough. And this time the big shot goes over the top. Ferguson, what a crap.
Oof. Yeah, uses his full reach there to snatch that one out of the air.
Yeah, the shot was to the very back of the end zone, so he had to cover the maximum territory. Dawson here. To Bengtson. Bengtson again looks straight to the middle. A little shimmy fake there from Ferguson, gets it open. Sends a big floaty backhand up. One-on-one here. Fraser gets underneath it, but huge grab!
Oh, wow.
Amazing grab by Timothy Daly, but it looks like we're going to get the opinion of the game advisor here to see whether he landed in or out. It felt like his first contact was in. Yep. As we said, we've got the advantage of replay. The players do not, but very clearly to us landed in. But the game advisor and the players are only allowed to go on what happened in real time. They can't send it back. But yeah,
it looks like it will go back in the end. It was a really great grab. I mean,
amazing grab. Yeah.
Yeah, Fraser was doing a lot to try and body out Daly, knowing, of course, that he wasn't going to beat him in the air. But but Daly, a hugely athletic grab to maintain possession.
In the meantime, there was a foul called on the throw. And so they've agreed that... there we go, the first timeout called of the game. So there's a few things that happened there, Max, in that play. So they couldn't quite agree on the outcome of the catch. But then in the meantime, they heard that there was a foul call made on the throw. And so opted that that's where it was going back. We've taken a look at that grab from Daly. They're both muscling each other out a bit. But Daly comes up over the top with the right hand. And
gets the knee down in inbounds.
Yeah, so I think what Fraser was looking at where his hand landed. And it looked very close. We get a better angle here. And yeah, no, the knee went down first, but yeah, in real time, that would have been very hard to discern.
Yeah, very, very close one. Yep. Fair enough too. But instead, Ferguson takes the chance to call a midpoint timeout instead.
The look of disgust on your face right now.
Yeah, look, I'm glad that can't come through on the microphone. You know, I have a made-up statistic about the fact that 80% of midpoint timeouts are turnovers, and I'm sure you're the same, Simon, that you highly discourage your players from calling them.
Yep, because while yes, it is a good chance for your offense to settle, you're giving the defense the chance to settle as well and take a breath and recompose and adjust. So there's no advantage to be gained from calling a midpoint timeout. So why would you do it?
No, and look, if there's unfortunately, if there's ever been a team to prove my statistics wrong, it tends to be Krank.
Yep.
They play a style that's like we talked about before. Those fundamentals, that really excellent looking inbound stuff. When you give them a chance to settle their offense, they actually can do some often much better things with it. But we'll see, without the likes of Tim Booth on the field, without the McCaves, it'll be interesting to see exactly how that looks for them now.
Yep. Credo set up a poach, so they're leaving the far side cutter free. The wind has really picked up. It's still going right to left, but speed's definitely picked up a couple of points. Bankson all on her own, sends crossfield to Daly. Daly on the doorstep, back to Dawson. Dawson taking the time. Credo have gone into a zone, or were they already in a zone? Fletcher takes a couple of looks, but looks to go short to but no. Maintains composure. Ferguson to Falls. To Dawson. Yeah, Credo really sort of cramming that space there, forcing him to go backwards. A nice little pop over the top. Ferguson to Dawson.
Yeah, it's a beautiful finish.
Yep.
And look, it hasn't dissuaded me about my opinions about midpoint timeouts. The hammer to get that one going was not particularly convincing, to be honest.
And I dare say that they wouldn't have planned that timeout up to that push pass for the goal. If they'd called a set play that involved about 15 passes, I would be thoroughly impressed.
Very, very true.
But no team in the world has ever done that.
No, but it's a very nice finish there from Ferguson. To get that disc over the top and use his height to just pop it over the top of a smaller defender.
So Krank have scored the last 6 goals in a row, Max.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a capitulation from Credo. You don't feel like they're out of it, but
no.
Krank definitely in their groove and accelerating to that next gear.
Yeah, and with just under 15 minutes to go, Credo I hate using the term. I hate doing the old Bruce McAvaney, gee, this goal's really important, isn't it? But it really is.
Yep.
Like, if they want to stay in contention, they have to score this goal to remain within 4, especially with less than 15 minutes to go. Because if Krank managed to convert this one as well, it only gives them 3 goals to take it to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've very rarely seen 6-point comebacks. I've seen plenty of 4-point comebacks. So does make a huge difference.
If anything, they need this goal is to steer to the ship and just remind themselves that it can be done. Linnartz to Panaya. Pick called already on the opening cut.
Interesting also, we haven't seen Wise on the field for a little while from Credo. That may be having an impact.
Yeah. can't sort of see him on the sideline. Maybe he's off getting a treat somewhere, perhaps. Anyway, enough speculation. Let's focus on what's happening. Penaya, very comfortable playing behind the disc. And Credo with they've gone to a vert stack, but it is causing a lot of cuts coming all over the place, which is resulting in these picks where players are pulling up to avoid collisions. And I like that dump at the moment, just finds Lennart's short. Cross field to Renich. Great little leading pass to Penaya. He's got the power position, but doesn't take advantage. Penaya's really playing very conservative this game.
Yeah, which is not what we've traditionally seen from him in other games before, but it's obviously what he feels the team needs. And fair enough with roaming defenders like Booth and Dawson on the field sometimes, or Booth on this point at least. It may be a sensible option.
Yeah. Credo have two cutters sitting very deep, sitting in the end zone at the moment. Lance goes up the line, but that's going to go over. Oh, wow, what a grab!
Fantastic grab there. And that is just pure trust.
Joe Penaya over the top of James Maguire. Maguire thought he was all over that. I think Maguire was just a bit too comfortable there. He had the step on him. Penaya was about to turn back in.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, a very nice throw, leading him out. But you have to say that probably should have been a deep.
Yeah, I think because Penaya turned back in, and then Maguire thought, oh, well, I've got this, but should have gone. Oh no, it's hard to know what's happening behind you, but
absolutely.
Yeah, when Penaya just attacked that ferocity rather than sort of wait for it to come from him over the top. He's just gone, no. If you don't want it, I'll have it.
So steps up when the team needs him, and we've still got a game in our hands now.
Yep. Wise back on the field for this one, for this defensive point, but Fernando's going to take the pull. Usually it's Wise taking these, but Wise is very much calling the line, giving some one-on-one advice to the players. Well, with that goal there, we can't quite write Credo off just yet.
No, they keep the door open for a comeback.
Yeah.
And will be interesting to see the zone. They'll feel like it's been working reasonably well for them in generating turns, but it may be time to do something different. It's that when you're down, you may need to throw something new at the wall if you really want to change the momentum of the game.
And Krank have made one or two personnel changes to their O-line here. Holly Tupper not playing this point. She just played the last one, so she's usually been the sort of the anchor of their offense. But Bell now looks like Haas going to play that role. Fulford a lot more active at this point. A lot of movement there. He wants someone open, and he eventually finds Burt, Warren White, McCabe. Okay, big bloody shot over the top. Great defense there.
Yeah, the Credo player makes sure of it, slams it towards the ground.
Yeah, no chance of that one staying in the air at all.
No sirree.
So Samantha Cording there. A great two-handed block. Fernando, 64 from goal. Great inside shot. Supporting Borden. Back to Fernando. Not much happening deep. All the cuts coming towards it. There is a deep option on now if they can get the throw out, but Jack Tranter just heads back to Fernando. Receives it again. Fernando doing a great job here. Wise comes back under. He's got the disc now. He's going to take... Wants a shot, but ends up coming under to Hannah Christensen. Christensen to Borden. Christensen streaking deep. But can't find the space. Borden goes for a 1-2 with Wise. Wise just probably trying to milk a little too much out of Borden there. Just went for the leading pass to try and gain better field position. You're better off just hitting the target more so than trying to win position with throws. So Warren White, calm as you like, just hits Fulford. Very tightly packed stack here. McCabe, big shot looking for Bengtson.
Wow.
Huge bid there by Fernando, but Bengtson.
She's pumped. She knows that was a very important goal, and as you say, she's been one of the best on park for Krank today.
She has just got ice in her veins. Like, the amount of pressure that comes in from having 2 defenders on her tail, but just picked her spot, went up with 2 hands, easy as you like, just...
yeah, so good.
Yeah, not worried at all. Had courting right in her tail, and Fernando peeled off his play. Did well to get to the contest. Went up very very safely too.
Yeah.
Staying well clear of the two other players there to avoid collisions.
Definitely a nice clean jump, but yeah, Bankson just in such a good position.
Yeah.
And geez, Wise will be ruining that turnover. I think you could see the narrative building, that comeback opportunity, and now it seems increasingly out of reach.
Yeah. Unusually flat throw from McCabe too.
Very true.
He's we've seen a few of his shots into the end zone be a lot more vertical than horizontal, but shows he can still put very tidy, neat, traditional throws, we'll call them.
Yes, absolutely. He's got a really wonderful range of throws. He's been playing in this Krank system for a very long time, and he's learned from some of the best throwers probably in Australian Ultimate, people like your Tim Boots and Mark Fulfords.
Yep.
It's behooved him well.
Credo with a quick side of offense. Fraser. Size opposite option, takes his time, puts a nice little pop over the top, but out of the reach of Courting, but second effort reels it in. Gordon. Not many options coming towards her. Finally, Fernando finds some space. Sends a big backhand out across the field. This time to Courting, but that's going to drift out of bounds.
Unfortunate. I mean, nice shot to Courting. Certainly, if that had held into the space, it could have been a pretty powerful shot.
Yeah, great decision. And here we go. We see that second effort grab. She's landed on 1 foot, but goes at it again.
So good.
Yeah.
Courting clearly a bit of a preferred target. She's been coming into this game a little bit more in the second half.
So I think if Krank can convert this one, I think we'll just about call that one. I reckon. I'm not ready to write it off completely.
No, absolutely. But if there's one team,
wow, Daly finds space all on his own. Not sure what Fraser was doing, but comes down with it. Goes crossfield with the Falls. Falls takes her time, finds Booth. Oh, and Fernando gets a clean hand block, and he is off, but no one's willing to pick up Border. Picks it up, has a shot. Wins the winds up, finds McAfee. McAfee on his own. Finds Fernando. Fernando's really turned it on this point. Wants that backhand again, but I think he wanted the throw more than he wanted the target.
Yeah, once bitten, twice shy, potentially.
Fraser, excellent break throw there. Borden over the top of Booth.
Tim Booth reads that. He's seen that one maybe 150,000 times before.
Yep, give or take. Maguire, low shot to Dawson, but Dawson prefers catching him up over her head rather than at her ankles and doesn't get down to it. This time, Credo taking their time. Tom Fraser walking to the disc slowly, but he's walking to it. He'll start looking at the backhand shot, but this time, Borden to Fernando. Much tidier, works better.
Yeah, much nicer. And I mean, we saw in that point, it's so interesting how once a second turnover creeps into a point, that the likelihood of it going to 4 or 5 or 6 turnovers it just seems to rise exponentially from there. And we certainly saw a little bit less calm heads than we'd seen earlier in the game.
Yep.
But the finish here from Credo, spot on.
Yep.
What score you got on the screen?
So, game advisors now, we're just talking about timing.
And the score.
And the score. There's just a final, where they're just checking the score to ensure that it is indeed 12-8.
Yeah, I think we had the score at 13-8. I think we sort of we're paying attention to what the scoreboard on the field says, which is usually up to the players to change. And it's a funny thing that can happen in this sport, Max, is no one can be 100% sure what the score is sometimes, because sometimes one player will take it upon themselves to change the score. As soon as the goal happens, then someone else walks past and thinks, oh, we should change the score.
Yeah.
So it is 12-8. I had 13-8 written down for some reason. I'm not sure what I've done there.
You've maybe done the same thing.
I probably did the same thing.
Yeah.
I probably looked at their scoreboard and said, oh yeah, that seems right. So 12-8.
Well, hey, maybe, Simon, there is still something in this game.
Maybe.
But time is running out for Credo.
Tupper to Fulford. Yeah, Fulford playing ahead of the disc now. Maybe should have made that move a bit earlier, but McCabe. Crossfield shot to Banks and all on her own.
And she had that whole half of the field to herself.
Tupper backwards to Warren White to Ha. Credo's still running this zone. It hasn't given them the best results, but they're finding it effective, at least holding Krank up. McCabe is all on his own at the back of the end zone, but with the way Wise and Fraser are patrolling the back of the field there, it's like, oh, no, we're going to second guess that. But comfortable losing yards to get the disc on the other side of the field. And Fulford.
Well jumped in, very nice. And yeah, I mean, Krank showing that they can, effectively play through that zone.
Yep.
Credo really never looked like they generated the kind of pressure they needed to.
Yeah.
Tough when you're down in these situations to know exactly what to do defensively, and we did see them bring down a slightly different look and try and play that match, but with Bankson making that deep grab, they maybe felt a little bit outclassed or a little bit exposed in that deep space, wanted to keep someone roving there with the zone, but it hasn't. The Krank has adjusted quickly and thrown lots of short passes to score.
Yep. I just want to highlight Alex Ha and Holly Tupper. They've been absolutely crucial to Krank's zone offense just by safe hands, safe passes. They're not. If you had a stat of meters gained, they're probably both in the negatives, really. But they're content just to reset possession, which then allows your Warren Whites, your Fulfords, to make those attacking options, just knowing that they've got a safe pair of hands back there who can just move the disc across the field.
It's so impressive, and you see it from all the players. Even someone like Eunice on Krank as well has just found this amazing ability to crack the field open.
Yep.
And it's exactly that looking inboard, just those fundamentals of play, that style. It's so effective for them, and it's really great mixed ultimate.
Fraser to feel the pull. Goes to Renich. Siahane Royal. Teo's played a very similar role for Credo, just being that anchor, just be there for the safe resets to let everyone else take the attacking options. Like Siahane Royal was there looking for Ben Jar, but too much zip in that throw going downwind, and here we go. Krank with a chance to score what could be their penultimate goal of the game. Booth, great backhand shot, looking for Chantel Ferguson, but
Ferguson second guessed it with the line, maybe just a couple of centimetres from the toes.
We've seen that. You see that happen frequently. Is a receiver will think, oh, I know where this disc is going. I'm just going to take my eyes off half a second see where the line is, and then they look back and not quite. But yeah, I think she was trying to sort of pull up quickly, I think, and rather than just take the catch comfortably. But excellent work to be as open as she was and find that space.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful cut.
Yeah. Panaya looking for the break side, wants it towards the middle of the field. Nice little lefty shot to Renich. Renich down the line to Fernando. He's got a free shot at Nicholson, but goes inside to Jar instead. Renich. And Pickle in the stack there, I think, just to the front there. So Renich will retain the disc, probably in about maybe still 3 or 4, and he hasn't got Hasn't got a reset option at the moment. You'd want to be able to get this throw off pretty quickly. There we go. Panaya's there. But Panaya just gets low and behind it and
Yeah, not to
doesn't
be.
reel it in.
Not to be.
Credo forcing backhand, interestingly enough. Falls. Oh no, forcing forehand. I'm not sure if they're changing by design. Booth reels that one in. And put the afterburs on. Sends the big hammer out looking for Ferguson. Off in there, pedaling backwards.
Yeah, Fernando, that athleticism I talked about earlier, that's so impressive. He's really got an explosive jump that I'd say probably rivals the vertical of almost all Ultimate players that I've seen.
Off-footed, off-balance, having a look over his shoulder and just literally got just enough on it to make Ferguson have to peel backwards as well. That was a great catch by Booth and then just straighten his feet to throw the hammer, but this time
Tim Booth lurking in that deep space.
Catches it back. It was a high percentage throw by Credo, but they needed to get it out of that territory. Booth on the sideline, just in short to Dawson, but
yes,
yeah, I think
so tough when Tim Booth takes that matchup in a horror from the far side of the field. He'll just always be lurking, trying to stop that deep shot.
Yep. To beat that, you need to have that wing come under, but you also need to have the cooperation of your teammates to clear out that space. It's very, very hard to counter.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how one individual effort needs almost a full team to play around it.
Yeah. So for now, forcing Booth backhand, but Ferguson, calm as you like, just a little one-handed catch.
I think Fletcher thought he almost had it there.
Booth goes up the line and sends the backhand to Dawson. And Booth to Dawson over a much shorter range than we would have expected.
Yeah, something a little bit different. Sure, Booth happy to pack away the hammer after that previous pass and just play some good bread and butter ultimate.
And so that takes it to 14 outs. Now we passed the 80-minute mark during that point, which for viewers not familiar with ultimate means that is the time cap. So what happens there is at the time cap the scoring target gets changed, it gets reduced, but to the highest current score plus 1. But given the highest score is 14 and the next highest score is 15, it means that the score cap remains at 15. So a very long way of explaining that Krank needs this goal to win.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the most exciting things about Ultimate, I think, is the need to score the last goal.
Yep.
It's not necessarily true in every single format, but certainly how we play nationals here in Australia.
Yep.
You need to score the last goal to win.
Yep.
And always makes for exciting comebacks, lots of exciting moments, many of which we've already seen on the stream today, some good finishes, but today it's going to be a big uphill battle if Credo wants to come away with the win.
Yeah. And having that rule in place, it means that teams just can't run the clock down. Like there can be an element of clock management to get yourself to time cap, but you need to score the last goal to win the game. So Krank will probably play this point pretty conservatively, I reckon, knowing that even if they do concede it, they start on offense again. But being complacent can be dangerous. But
yeah, it's very true, and I mean, certainly if they're talking about complacency, they haven't been complacent with who they've brought on the line. You've got the likes of Fulford, Booth, Bankson, Maguire,
Healy,
and the whole. They've put a lot of resources on this line, so they want to finish it.
Wise to start with a disc from the brick mark. Goes the reset option to Linart's there. Tranter finds it up. Sorry, that's McAfee there. All of a sudden with 3 passes, they're right on the doorstep. A lot of up the line cuts happening, bit of room, but Wise finds the space centre of the field. Nice little break throw to Christensen, puts her right at the doorstep. Borden. Great backhand throw to Wise, who just catches it, and collision there as Healy came in to try and make a D of that.
Yeah,
but I think that Wise have his foot down on the catch in the end zone.
Yeah, certainly if he secured, it's hard to say exactly when the securement happened, but he did have that back foot down.
Yep. But Healy there, back on her feet, she signalled, yep, that's a goal. She, a gutsy effort for going for the block, knowing that, she was putting herself under a bit of heat. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, a good result, and Credo keep the game alive.
Yeah. I think Wise anticipated the contact there a bit and was able to sort of at least keep his arms and shoulders out of the way to avoid head-high contact. It ended up just being just a bump of the hips, but
Wise certainly used to, from a sort of heads of state style play, playing a lot in very small, sometimes very physical spaces. So has a lot of experience, and I think that really showed there.
Yep. So while yes, ultimately it's a non-contact sport, sometimes things like that do happen. But I think both players did as best as they could to
certainly minimise the contact.
Yeah, both make a fair play, both make a good, solid, hard play on that disc. But I'm sure they'll slap hands and have a laugh about it later.
Absolutely. Erin Healy, really tenacious defender, tenacious on offense as well. But she'll be. I think they'll be both very happy with that outcome. Although Healy, the competitive person, I'm sure she would have liked to get that block.
Would have loved it. So Credo need to score 6 in a row. Krank need to score 1. As much as we like to fantasise about fairy tales here, I think we're well aware of what's going to happen. So Tupper will field the pull. Fulford to Booth. Dawson not on this point. Huh? I immediately looked where's Dawson as soon as Booth caught it. Fulford begs him.
Almost catches a trailing edge pass upfield there.
McCabe goes too high, and Fraser catches immediately, recess to Wise, and chance to buy another goal here. And yep, nice backhand shot in nice to, I think that's who's that that caught that goal? Is that Renich? No. But
yeah,
could this be the start, Max?
Look, it could be something. I mean, we talked about this before. The Krank side, it's so rare to see them consistently rattled. I've definitely seen teams get a few points on them in a row, but they have this ability to be very consistent, maybe led by sort of the energy of someone like a Tim Booth or your very calm players like your Dawsons and whatnot. It's always interesting, and even people like McCabe. It's so hard to truly rattle a team like Krank that you have to say, even though that point seemed pretty definitive, it's unlikely that it'll spark a huge comeback, I'd say.
Yeah. Jack Tranter it was with the goal. And what I've liked what Krank have done, it'd be so easy just to put on your best 7 players to close it out, but they're sticking with the lines and structure they've got, trusting any of their squad just to get the job done, regardless of what the context is. So Wise will play this game until the death.
Yes, I don't think we'll see Wise take a sub, and I mean, probably a wise choice when you have such a player of his calibre on the team.
Yeah. Tapa, Taha, McCabe. And Fernando from Credo is just hanging deep. He knows that these shots are probably going to come. Warren White. Yeah, pick call happened a while ago. You can hear the voice of Bell Fraser there saying, nope, I've pulled up just to avoid a collision.
Yeah, Credo probably, of course, the pick rule allows you to wait a couple of seconds after a pick is called, whether after a pick happens, whether to call it or not.
Yep.
Credo player there probably wishing that she'd used that particular element of the rule, but nevertheless, once a pick is called, it's done deal. So.
Yep. Yeah, that rule allows you to decide whether it really affected you or not as you pulled up. It's like, well, my play didn't get it anyway, so I'm just going to let it go. Nice little inside break there to Bell, to Tupper. Tupper to Bird. Bird looking for Warren White. And this is it, Warren White, easy as you like.
Yeah, an immaculate finish there. Great experience, and it's Krank that comes away with the win.
Fantastically competitive game.
Yeah, really exciting.
If you take out that 6-goal run from Krank in the middle, and it was very back and forth. I think as you were describing before, Krank's just coolness under pressure. They just were not rattled at any point in this game.
Yeah, I think it's very challenging, and Krank is just going to keep coming at you consistently throughout a whole game, and they just showed their class there, the ability to really close out something like that.
Yeah. And not to discount the efforts from Credo, like some made some spectacular plays. Like Richard Fernando really imposed himself in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Nicholson and her matchup with Dawson, keeping her contained and even getting a couple over on her.
oh, that Nicholson matchup was super exciting. I'm very excited to see a little bit more of her play, and the handling from people from some of the Credo players and also the Krank players. It's just been a real masterclass in that area behind the disc, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up there for this round. Max Haldon, thanks very much for joining us.
My absolute pleasure.
And I'm Simon Talbot on the Ultimate Frisbee Australia YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us.